Hey, welcome to conversation number 14 of our 19 conversations series. Today on the show, we have Paul Wolfe. How's it going, Paul?
How's it going? Good to be here.
Great. So, Paul and I know each other a little bit, but we only live about a block away from each other. So, it takes the coronavirus pandemic to give us an opportunity to sit down and hang out, I think is what happened here. So, two of the things that we've been doing kind of a clip of a day. Sometimes it's somebody that I know that Pat doesn't know, or he knows that I don't know, or whatever. We thought today for the clip of the day, it'd be kind of cool to feature Paul's band. So, Paul, your band is called Chapel Hill Country Band?
It is.
And
Chapel Hill. For some reason, Chapel Hill Country Band. That country band always gets tagged on the end for some reason, but it's Chapel Hill.
Chapel Hill. Where'd that come from?
Well, our singer's from Chapel Hill, Tennessee.
Oh.
So we get Carolina. He's from Chapel Hill, Tennessee, not North Carolina. So.
I was going to ask if you were a Tar Heel. You got Carolina Blue on.
Yeah, it's listed as Chapel Hill Country Band more often than not because you need that because there's a couple other Chapel Hills out there.
Right.
To the school or to the North Carolina place more often than not.
All right, so let's we're going to get right into that clip before we do, just because of the way I got my screen set up right now. Coming up, just so people know, coming up this week, we're in like conversation 14 of 19, and who knows if 19 is really the end with the situation. But coming up this week, I'm just going to share that real quick. We have Paul today, BB Made, who's another fellow YouTuber. If you watched the Leslie series that we did, he's the guy that sent us the Leslie G pedal. So we're looking forward to talking to him. Wednesday, we have Brian Ewald coming on. Brian is, session guitarist, hired gun, just incredible guitar player, does all the PRS demos. He's like one of their product specialists. So that will be a lot of fun, being that Pat and I are both PRS geeks. Thursday, John Cusack from Cusack Music and Mojo Hand Effects, which I didn't know about until just recently. Right. And then Dave Sestito from DSL Effects. So this all should be really cool conversations. So join us for those. In the chat, we have Brian Landreth and we have Za from our friend from Brazil. Brian says it might be 99 conversations before this is over. I hope not. There's a lot of planning. So let me get this clip up. How do I do that again? By the time we're done with this, I'll be a wizard at pulling this stuff together.
By the time we're done with this, your beard will be at wizard proportions. That's for sure.
I gotta figure this out because you said, oh, there it is. All right, boom. Can we enlarge that a little bit? Go out and check out the Chapel Hill Country Band, I guess. Online, man. Check those guys out. They're local to us. It's funny. I said that Paul is my neighbor, and so as a musician, you watch when somebody new moves in the neighborhood, or they unloading gear or whatever. And I walk the dog every day. I remember walking by your house and seeing the line of cars, I guess, on your band practice night. Somebody had a license plate that kind of made you think they were in a band, but I never heard anything. I was thinking forever. I mean, that looks like a band practice, but maybe they're just playing pool because I don't. But you guys were all practicing with headphones and stuff, right?
Yeah, we had a in-ear set with electric drums just for the practice for the rehearsal.
Right.
So it's funny because I remember you saying that because it was our singer's license plate that says rock star.
Nice
for a country band.
He likes to put it out there. I don't blame him.
That sounds like someone with LSD, right? So in that video, I definitely approved of the headstock shape I saw on all the instruments, so that's good.
Right on.
Right. And so
tune in Wednesday to hear Brian Ewald talk all about it.
I think I was walking by one day and you had your orange cab sitting in the garage or something. And that was
sometimes after a show, it takes a while for it to make it upstairs again.
Right. So, keeping with tradition, pedal of the day. Pat, you had a pedal of the day for today.
Yeah.
And then we're jumping into the good stuff. But pedal of the day is good stuff too. So what do you got?
So I told you I grabbed some of my stuff the other day, but I forgot that I had a fake Pelican case full of pedals over here that I'm trying to find more information about. Like, do I sell them or not? And I have this. It's an MXR Phase 90. There is the serial number, right? And box in really good shape. I almost said perfect shape, and then you see that. We opened it up, and we have, we have the Phase 90. It's a block logo, so it's not script, but it does not have a power supply. Oh, there we go. It is just for fun, missing one screw. But also in the box, if I can get to it. Well, it's in here somewhere. It was. Here it is. The warranty card, which my guess would be at this point probably out of warranty.
I think you should fill it out and send it in.
Let's see what happens. Yeah, send it out to Rochester, New York, and then the owner's manual is in there, which I never really looked at that. Like, what does it say about a one knob pedal, right? Turn knob till desired sound is achieved. So that, and then best of all, the original MXR sticker is in the box. So the funny story about this pedal is I don't know what the story is because I don't remember buying this pedal, but I clearly have one that is old. We got to work on dating it. I have not taken it apart to look at it, but the serial number on the card matches the serial number on the box. So it's going to make for an interesting story at some point when I figure it out. So that's the pedal of the day, the MXR Phase 90 block script with an unknown date, but an early one because there's no power supply.
No LED light, no.
Right. So, yeah, that's the pedal of the day. Probably not showing up on our Reverb store, more or less.
So, Paul, you can tell, like, on the bottom of the screen there, like, when we get certain comments in, if people are talking, I can pop them up just so people know that they're coming. And Brian Landris just wanted to point out that he likes your hat.
Oh, thanks, Brian. Any relation to Sonny?
He
like a
distant cousin to Sonny, right? But not the other Landrith.
Not Joey.
Yeah, he thinks he's a distant relation to Sonny. He can say that in the chat because we've seen Brian. Brian's been joining in and chiming in on the show for a long time. We actually had him as one of the guests last week. So, distant cousin.
So Brian is from Arkansas, and we said before that Za is from Brazil. So you got quite the different.
You're international right now.
Yes, you're big time. Make sure you tell your wife or somebody important that you are important now because you are an international YouTube star.
Dan in New Jersey just popped in. Hey, man. All right, so let's start with so what we're gonna do here. Paul and I were talking about it. He's in a room where he has kind of some of his guitars that he would use when he's working with the band. Some of his favorites around him. We thought we'd let him walk through some of those, and with kind of a surprise one that will take us into another segment here in a little bit. But what do you want to start with, Paul?
I want to start with this one. I'm just going to pull these down one at a time and share a little bit about each. This is the one that I just got back, just finished. What this was a 1991 Les Paul Studio that I bought at a pawn shop in Colorado for $400. I've had it ever since, played it ever since. But about 2 months ago, I was going to go adjust the neck a little bit. The truss rod bolt was stuck, wouldn't move. So I cut that off. I started fiddling with it. And that turned into gutting the whole thing, stripping the paint off, ripping out the electronics, the bridge, and replacing everything. Took the fretboard off, new inlays, new fretboard. I bound the fretboard and the guitar. And this is my new baby. It's got a Babbitt's bridge. I'm not sure if you're familiar with these Babbitt's bridge.
Mm-mm.
So what this is called Babbitt's, I think, flush to body. Sits right on the body, supposed to resonate. And then I got these DiMarzio transition pickups, which are the Steve Lukather pickups. I ordered chrome. I thought it was just a standard chrome plate, and I got these chrome bobbins, which I've never seen before. I think. So,
Cool.
And then I brought that in, and I had Greg set it up for me and did the electronics. Got the push-pull pots on it. So this I have not played with the band yet, but I'm excited to.
And you added the binding to that around the body, added the binding to the neck.
Yeah. And so it kind of looks like a studio, but it's got the what are these the custom inlays, except for the one up here.
And then I remember at Christmas time when people were missing packages in their neighborhood, you were looking for a package from Seymour Duncan. I was kind of like,
DiMarzio, that was these.
Oh, DiMarzio. I was like, if that shows up here, you might not get it.
Yeah, because it was odd because I was waiting forever for them, and they said that they shipped. And what happened was they messed them up. So I guess they tried to make these, and something went wrong with them. They said they're going to make them again. But I don't know if that's a one-off. These chromes. Have you guys ever seen these chromes?
No.
I've never seen them before either. I wasn't expecting them, but that's what I got.
Yeah, it's like even though they're Lukather pickups, they're definitely Satriani approved. That's for sure.
Yeah, so these pickups are it's pretty hot.
Mm-hmm.
In the chat,
Let's try that guitar out.
In the chat, Bent asked if those are the Babbitt's full contact hardware 2-pneumatic bridge.
That's exactly what it is.
Okay, yeah, Bent, that's what it is.
Well, Bent, if there were prizes today, you'd get one.
Yeah, because I couldn't remember what it was called actually. So here you should like this. This is my most recent purchase. Other than that, is a McCarty 594.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was up at Jason's house one day. He was taking me through his collection, and I think I pulled off a McCarty semi-hollow body off your wall, didn't I?
Full hollow body McCarty, yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, that inspired the decision to want one of these.
Nice.
And this is before I haven't tried that one yet, but this is my number one go-to guitar right now. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Highly recommended.
So that's a semi-hollow body?
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I really like the McCartys. But I've
got a fat neck on it, which
yeah.
When I first started playing it, I wasn't so sure about, but I love it now.
And I can actually, the one that you looked at is sitting right here.
So is that new? Like, is that part of the 35th anniversary collection ones, or is that?
I don't know about that's not the anniversary, but I can tell you that. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, this is the one that he would have saw. Solo that real quick. So it's a 2000 McCarty hollow body. No birds. Does have the piezo pickup in it. Full hollow body. I mean, like, you want to talk about a light guitar?
I can imagine this one's really light.
I mean, you just can't even, because there's no center block.
Okay, everyone should have one.
Not to get left out of the hollow body discussion for PRS, but this is a 2011 single cut hollow body with actually has Starla pickups in it. Very interesting. But
so I actually sent a picture of a guitar exactly like that over to Jared at VCR.
Yeah,
this is what I'm looking for. If you can get it in. And I happened to be over there for my Kemper one day, and the phone rang while he was talking to me. He said, "You won't believe it. This is the guy from PRS right now." He told me to check my email. There's a picture in there. See if that's what this guy wanted. I happened to be there when the email was sent to him. So that's perfect. And that was it. That was that guitar. This guitar, my only Strat. I love it. It's a Strat Plus. Let's see. 92 Strat Plus. This guitar I got an incredible deal on. My band was playing one night in Pittsburgh when I was in school, and afterwards, a guy came up and said, and I kind of knew the guy. I didn't know him real well. He said, "Hey, I have 2 guitars. I'm just looking to get rid of one. I have a Les Paul and a Strat. Trying to get the Les Paul fixed. Need to sell the Strat." This was it. On the spot purchase. One of my best. So it's a Strat Plus. It's got the locking.
Right. I remember there was like that roller bridge kind of thing. Or
Yeah, the lace sensors.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure if you're familiar with, but it's, like I said, it's my only Strat, so it's the only one I have experience with, but I love it.
So does it have the boost on the treble? I think it's TBX on the 25. I think it's a small boost. If you turn the treble or pull the treble knob control out,
there's no,
because like on the Clapton models, so maybe it's only specific to the Clapton that have those lace sensor. There's a boost that you can just wind up a little bit, but
yeah, there's no pull on it.
Okay.
So
what color is that? Sorry.
This color, and that's another thing. The color is it actually looked it up. It's called metallic root beer.
Okay.
Which was a limited edition color. I've never seen another one. Actually, I've seen one other one because I just like searching Reverb, found one other one exactly like it.
That's nice.
So Bent Rossum in the chat said he grew up in Pennsylvania, 3 miles from the John Deere factory. So he's also commenting on your hat. Everybody likes the John Deere hat.
Heck yeah. So I got a couple more to share with you. Standard 335. This was my this was a wedding gift from my wife.
Oh, nice.
So at our rehearsal dinner, I didn't know, a wedding gift was even a thing from
Whoops.
So we're sitting at the rehearsal dinner, halfway through, and they came in with this, and they said, that's your wedding gift. I said, oh my God. So this is incredible. And they said, what did you get her?
A diamond in a wedding.
and you're like, right here, that's what I got her.
Yeah, I got her that ring. So anyway, interesting thing about this guitar is I've had all my guitars in the same place, in the cases, and the hardware and everything has kept really well on all the guitars except for this one. I don't know if you can see, but all the hardware is all kind of patinaed, rusted up, and I'm not exactly sure why. One of the reasons, someone from one of the guitar stores around here told me that a couple years that Gibson started using cases that were made somewhere else. I don't know if anyone's ever heard this. And for a small period of time, the glue in the cases was water-based glue. And some of the guitars had these issues. I don't know if there's truth to that or not, but that's what one theory was.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, makes it look a lot older than it is.
Right.
Yeah,
well, that's nice.
I've never heard about a wedding gift.
Yeah, did you guys get a wedding gift?
No.
That was a pretty brilliant plan on your wife's part to definitely seal the deal. You said that was at the rehearsal, right? Like, you're coming tomorrow, right? I got you this.
Yeah. So, and then this. I was a kid. My first guitar was a Les Paul Standard. I think it was a 1983 Les Paul Standard, Cherry Sunburst. I traded that guitar. Man, I really was stupid and traded it for a really piece of crap guitar. That's worth nothing now. But anyway, in 2014 or 2013, I said I'm going to go get myself that guitar again. This is it.
Nice.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And now your studio looks like a Standard too.
That's right. I might actually start doing that, buying up some cheap studios.
People buy them and relic them. You're going to buy them and make them.
Yeah, why not?
The opposite. That's a great idea.
Now this guitar is a little off the wall color wise. Mm-hmm. This is the S2 you saw in that video at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My first Paul Reed Smith. And I love this guitar. And a real nice thing about it is that they made it at a price point where it's not ridiculous to have a Paul Reed Smith that sounds and plays great. So, but the line's a monster. That's it.
So which one is that?
This is the single cut S2.
No, the same kind of. Okay. So do you know what pickups off the top of your head with those?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a card in my case that tells me, but.
All right. That's cool.
Sean Zimmerman just joined us in the chat. Welcome, Sean.
Hans is sharing some guitars here.
So, where does that take us?
He's going on to something with
Well, I mean, if you have a Les Paul and you have a Strat and you have a PRS and a 335,
there's the missing link right there.
yeah, you got to have a Telly, right?
Telly.
And if you're in a country band.
This guitar is. I was over at a Guitar Center, and I don't know what I was looking for over there, but a guy came in with a case and said, "Hey, I want to sell this guitar," and it was this guitar, American-made Fender Telly, but it was covered, and I don't even know what it was. It was dirt, moth, balls, dust. It stunk. It was disgusting. And anyway, so I saw Guitar Center offered a guy $300 for it. He sold it to them, and I said to them, "I'll give you $350 for it, and you don't have to clean it." So that was a done deal.
Nice.
That's the way I do it. I love stories like that, right? Guitar stories about how we get guitars are always great, but whenever that story includes like I got it for this great price, it's even better. I don't know.
Yeah. So this I had tuned to Open G, and I play for one song in the Chapel Hill band.
Are those the noiseless pickups in that?
I have no idea.
And I'll keep asking. Like I'm not a pickup weirdo, but like yeah, because I have a American Deluxe that looks similar to that has the noiseless and the S1 switching system where you push in on the tone control.
No, I know it's got no pushes. No push.
All right. I'm over too.
Brian asked if I did any more research on the Telly, and I did not. Partially because to do research on my Telly would require taking the neck off, and I don't feel like I'm qualified to do that. All right, here we go. I think this is the big one now.
Yeah, so this is he was mentioning in the opening. I also build guitars. I built acoustic guitars. And this is one that I finished yesterday. So you can see it's that's my logo there. PMG Paul McRae guitar. And it's an OM body style. You can see it's got the abalone. Got a nitro finish on it. And this is actually for my son. This will be his first acoustic guitar.
Getting a lot of comments on it. Love the trim. Wow, gorgeous. Abalone for the win.
So it's got it's rosewood. I'll tell you what it is. So this is rosewood back and sides, and then the top is from a sinker redwood log. So that top was underwater for apparently 100 years, and that's a log that they brought out.
That's really nice.
On guitar. So, but that's what I pulled out for you to see today.
That's it's hard to tell how something would sound through here because, well,
I'm not sure how that sounded over the computer. So
yeah, but I mean, even through the computer with the compression on it, I'm sure it sounds great. You can tell it would have a nice tone to it.
Yeah, even with those garbly stuff from the camera, it was still you could hear like a clarity and kind of a balance in it. It sounded really nice. Really projected well.
So thanks. But other than that, I have if you guys have time to go take a quick look at the shop.
Yeah, let's do it.
See, I like the fact that we could do a field trip and sit in our chairs. This is awesome.
Yeah, so the field trip's going to consist of me walking down the stairs. I'm going to transition from my laptop to my iPhone.
So I can mute. I can mute your laptop, pull it out, put your iPhone in the stream. And then I guess when you get out of the room, turn the volume back up on your iPhone because we don't want to have that echoey thing happening. But I can do that. And then Wait, I don't know if I have. I think he might need to bring it back in.
Here he comes.
Right, but hey, Paul. I think you might need to like close it on your phone and reopen it
Okay.
for the field trip to happen. Sometimes if you like walk away and the phone goes dark, then it doesn't reconnect right. Doesn't that happen to you sometimes, Pat?
Yeah, it gets a little weird sometimes.
I'll tell you what. I'm just gonna kick. I'll kick it for you. I'll kick the phone out. Let's hope I kick the right one out.
It's this lowercase w. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Open in Safari.
So while we're waiting for us to figure this out, what Paul's gonna do is walk us down to a shop where he builds the guitars, and he has a couple guitars I think in production right now that he's building. Yeah. I think.
All right, here we go.
Wait. I don't have them. Here it comes. All right, now I got you.
Hey,
There it is.
I forgot to press enter the broadcast. I was saying all kinds of good stuff, but
So as Paul's walking the rest of us on the field trip, make sure you don't let go of the rope on this field trip. I don't want to lose you.
I feel like I'm talking to my granddaughters on an iPhone now, running around the house.
I'm just waiting for him to walk up behind you, like he just walked down the street and came into your house.
okay. I'll give
My
you
wife
just
won't
a
let that
brief
happen right
overview of the shop. This is, and I'll explain what some of this stuff is here in a minute.
So right out that window right there is where you can watch me walk by your house, right?
Yep, I saw you going by earlier. Yeah, Jason, literally, I could throw a stone and hit his house. And
But I've
then-
never been in the shop. We have to rectify this.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So you can see I laid a couple things out that I'm working on here. And then I'll kind of dig into those, what this stuff is. You let me know if I need to hurry or if there's more time. I don't know.
You're
Well,
good, man.
we're 27 minutes in. You're fine.
Okay, cool. So I'll just give you an idea with this stuff. These are two guitars I have in the works. You see this is a rosewood. And you see the bracing system in here. I can explain how it gets to this point. These are both dreadnought bodies. And this is black limba.
That looks cool.
Yeah.
With ebony.
So is the side black limbo or the top? What?
So this is the back and the sides are black limba. And the top will be Sitka spruce. Something like this isn't going to be it. This is just an old junker one. This is one that I kind of junked, which is a bad thing because I had a nice inlay on it, but I let it sit and it got warped, and that was not going to work anymore. So, but anyway, I can give you a quick idea of how it gets to that point. This is another one I'm working on here, a little further along. This you got to see the back. This wood. This
Nice.
is a quilted mahogany. That's from if you're familiar with if you Google the tree and guitars, there's a specific tree from Honduras, I think it is, that produced all this wood, and this is a piece of it. Very hard to come by a piece of wood.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
There's actually a guy in East Berlin that has a sawmill that I got that from. Who he does a lot of the wood for Paul Reed Smith. Anyway, I'll show you real quickly some of the steps. What you're looking at here, and let me know if this is not coming over properly.
You're good.
But you saw that the backs of these guitars, as well as the tops, are usually all a book match set.
which is basically, so this will be a top that's cut open, so it's book matched. This would be jointed perfectly flush, and what this unit does right here is you wrap these around here like such. You hammer these wedges in there, and it pulls this thing tight. So you get a nice solid seam. So that's joining the top. You do the same thing with the back.
Okay.
So now you have a top and a back joined. Walk you over here to the benders, the side bender. That's my bender. I got it from LMI. It's got a thermostat on here, and what happens is you can see that there's this crank piece here. What you do is you'll have a flat side. It'll be wet, and you'll sandwich it between these two pieces of metal here. And then there's a heat blanket. This heat blanket is hooked to the thermostat. You'll set the thermostat to where you want it. It'll start to steam, at which point you start to crank down the middle waist. Then you have two cranks here that kind of roll down the front and the back bouts. You let that sit for a good hour, I do. And then you take it out, and at which point you put it in a form, like something like that. So then you have your sides in a form, you add the front and the back block, and then after that you're ready to brace the top and the back. Here's some brace wood. I got this from that guy I was telling you in East Berlin. This is all Adirondack spruce. And the story behind this was that he sent all this to Paul Reed Smith for their acoustic line, but it was the wrong size to fit their CNC machines, I believe. That's what he told me. So they sent it back, and I got a good deal on a bunch of bracewood. More bracewood than I will probably need. If I use this much bracewood, I'll be in good shape. I don't know.
Okay, that's right.
Looking down here, I'll show you some examples of different woods. Sorry, that's my air compressor.
It's telling you it's time to work.
My wife loves that. It goes off at all hours of the night. Some rosewood.
So in the chat, Jack the Rabbit's asking what brand of acoustic. So these are ones Paul makes himself, but you do have a brand name for it. What's the brand you put on it, Paul?
Paul McCrae guitars. Yeah, and I explain that. Like, I consider myself a hobby builder, not a luthier. It's a hobby. Hopefully, by the time I can retire, it may be a profession. But that's where I stand on it. I got a little while before I retire, though, so it should be real good by then.
And I have I saw a review once for somebody that picked up your. I mean, he's being modest from what I hear, but I have not played one.
So these are all fretboards. I'll show you pretty. You guys familiar with Ziricoti? I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but check out that.
Oh, that's sweet.
I mean, it looks like a landscape. I'm actually thinking about using that for that guitar. I'm not sure.
So while you were showing the woods, there was a question from the dog paw asking if you've ever tried myrtle wood.
Yes. On my Facebook page, there's a picture of a guitar I made out of myrtle wood.
So is that your Facebook page? Because I was looking for that earlier. I thought you had one out there. Is that?
It's Paul McCrae guitars.
Oh, sorry.
There's the clip of the band.
That's what it was. Paul McCrae. I couldn't find that. I'll throw the Facebook page in the chat here. Give me 1 sec, guys.
Okay.
There you go. Oh, there you go.
Here's some. This is my neck bin, next in progress. This is a funny, cool story. I have a buddy in California named Teddy. He sent me a chunk of wood that he had on the beach. He found this. I mean, and it looked like, I think it cost him $120 to send the thing to me. It was huge. It's extremely heavy. I don't know if you hear this wood, but he sent it to me and said, "Can you make me a neck out of that?" And that's where we're at so far.
That's cool.
So that will be, and I can kind of show you how it gets. I use a scarf joint if you're familiar with a scarf joint. So this would be a straight piece of wood. There's an angle cut on it. It's flipped and glued. We'll give you this angle. And then a stacked heel. If you have a piece of wood big enough, you don't need to do that. Let's see. I can show you what I was working on last night for this guitar. It's got a fret slotter set up. Here's a fretboard I was working. I can show you how this happens. First of all, this is a machine I got a couple years ago. And if you're not familiar with Grizzly machines, they're incredible, very friendly to the guitar builder. I think the owner of the company is a guitar builder. So, but anyway, this is a thickness sander, drum sander. This will sand that down to the thickness I need. And this is a fret slotting jig. So maybe you can see there's a little baby saw blade right there. And I have a jig that lays on top of this that has different scale lengths. And you see there's a little pin right here that goes into these little notches. It'll give you the exact scale length. So you just basically put it on the notch, run it forward, move it a notch over, run it forward, and so on. Then you have your frets slotted in there. After that, it's ready to be radius, which is another thing which I need to work on my radius process because it is a pain in the butt.
I can imagine.
There's easier ways to do this, but if you can see, there's a radius on that. I use a 14-inch radius, and what I did is lay it in between these two 2x4s. This is a radius block. You see, it's got this has a 14-inch radius.
Oh, so you're sanding the radius by hand?
As of now. So you stick that right in there, and you have at her until she's. It's about an hour. So, like I said, there's much better ways to do that, and that's probably my next investment would be a better way to do this. But anyway, at that point, it's ready to be inlaid. I'm probably just putting dots on this one, and I have them kind of laid out. Let's see with the little marks. And at that point, I actually just ordered a truss rod for this guitar, which will be.
So what tool do you use to dress frets and fret ends?
I could show you, which is another area I need to get much better at. and Greg from BCR will tell you that. He said, I sent that Les Paul over to him. And he said, when this coronavirus is all over, you and I are going to sit down and have a session on fret dressing. So I said, that sounds like a good deal to me.
So people that don't know in the chat.
What's that?
People that don't know in the chat, Greg, you've mentioned Greg twice. Greg is the owner of BCR Music and Sound, or I think he's the owner of BCR Music and Sound. He has been doing guitar repair work in our area for a long time, but he does guitars like there's an interview on our channel with him. If you go back, there's an interview with Greg from BCR. There's one that's specifically on guitar repairs, and he gets into some of the names, the name dropping section. He's done work for some really, really, Aerosmith, whatever, you name it.
So this, I'll just give you a quick rundown here. This is, if you can see that, see the angle, there's a file at an angle there. And when you run that along the top of the fretboard, that'll put that angle on the end of the frets. And I guess I can show you what I use for frets. There's different options for frets. For the acoustics, this is how the fret wire comes. Big. If anyone needs fret wire, I got enough, again, to probably last me my career here. You take that. That's somewhat bent, but then I also have a fret wire bender. It looks like a can opener. You run it through that. It puts more of an arch on it. So when you go to hammer it or press it into these grooves, it has a little flex that helps it stay in there. But you asked what tools I use. I use this to get the angle on. This can help level them. I have a longer one. Actually, this is a prime tool here. And what it is just a flat bar. Flat bar will flatten the frets. And then this is a file I run over the ends, kind of round them over. These magic erasers that people talk about, I'm not too crazy about them. They polish frets. I prefer these micro mesh.
Now, do you do the fret work on your electrics too, or if you need it done, or do you?
Like I said, I did that. Les Paul upstairs, but Greg really finalized it for me.
Gotcha.
He made it real nice. I mean, there's a big difference. Here's the fret press. This is what you kind of use to drive the frets into the slots.
Right.
Okay, so that's. So you did all that. You have a guitar.
That's a serious operation. You say I build guitars in my basement. I mean, that's a serious operation.
Like I said, the idea here is when it's time for me to retire, I want to be set up and have a shop ready to go. So this is the finishing area over here. It's my spray booth. Kind of, it's a small thing, but it's got some power. And the idea is I eventually build a wall here and make this nice and enclosed, because at this point you're either finishing or you're building. You can't really do both.
Right. You don't want dust in the finish.
Right. And another thing is, to get really good at this, the climate is another issue. Where we're at, where it's hot, it's cold, it's humid, it's not. That's not a great scenario. So like some sort of climate control situation will be a big help. And then here's my buffer. When it's all said and done, you do a bunch of sanding, wet sanding, and then this thing puts a high sheen on it. Makes it look like glass.
Wow.
I didn't really show you this. This is most guitar builders will know what this is. It's called a go bar deck. So you lay your piece here, and it's just used for clamping. So if you have a piece that needs clamps, these rods put pressure on it. And you can clamp set like braces on the tops and stuff.
So that's like you put your top down, stick the braces on, and glue them on, and then you put those on to hold them in place?
Right. And I didn't really show you anything like what this is. These are sanding discs. And as you know, like the back of an acoustic guitar will have a radius on it. So this is a dish that has you can see it's concave in a perfect dish here. So what happens is when I lay that back in there, it takes the shape. Now that radius will also be on the brace, which is something I can show you really quickly. I made a little jig to make that happen.
Brian asked what our average humidity is. His is really hard, so it's hard to use nitro.
I don't know. Do you know what our humidity is? I don't know. I know like September, October are like the best times to spray. So I'll show you what this is.
Ben says he would go to Lemoyne every day to get Nito burrito.
So what this is, you can see maybe that there's a radius on that brace right there. I built this jig to make that happen. Basically sits in there. You would clamp that down. And this jig has this radius on it. So I could take that then to the flush cut shaper here and just run it across there, and I had a perfect radius on the bottom of those braces. And that's one thing that you like doing this for, I guess, 8 years maybe. This watching different people do it. There's like so many ways to do every step that you just pick up different things that work for you, and at least that's what I've done.
When we went to that, Pat and I went to the Artisan Guitar Show in Harrisburg last year, which is like a acoustic guitar show with a lot of like builders, right, that are coming in,
right?
Really put some guitars. But they said it's like a community, right? They all share tips and they all,
Oh yeah, yeah. So there's I'm on a couple different my camera around now. A couple different groups on Facebook that you get a lot from. How I got into this initially is, if you ever see PCN, the TV channel PCN, they had those tours. Well, they did a tour of the Martin factory. And this is probably 10 years ago that I saw this, and that just got me really intrigued. So from there, I just started getting each piece at a time.
Right.
And then I got an instructional video from a guy named Frank Finocchio out of Philly. There's a guy up in Higgins from Blues Creek Guitar. He's really good. And just watching YouTube videos and reading books is where I got to this point.
Wow. So how many guitars have you made, do you think?
I think maybe.
I remember you telling me you took a break for a while too. Like
I think I may have made like 14 guitars. So it's not a quick process, and like I said, I go in spurts because I do have a full-time job. So it's like sometimes I'll be down here, nonstop, and then it just gets to a stopping point, and the job kicks in. And when you have time to get back down there, you get back down there.
It's funny because I was talking to Paul before we started this about I think you said you have maybe 4 that are in process right now, and I was like, well, how many of those are spoken for? Because in the current situation, one of the reasons we started the whole 19 conversations thing was just to find out what people are doing with this situation, and then in this case, maybe it's provided Paul a little more time to make or build.
Oh, it sure has. So
but
that's
it's
my
hard.
goal. I don't know how many days it's going to be that we're quarantined, but hey, man, if I can get these, I got everything I need to get these finished. So, and I have the time now. So
I was, like I said, I was trying to figure out how many of them were spoken for while he's down there working. And I keep joking with my wife that there's going to be a COVID-19 guitar come out of this.
Oh yeah, so this is, you see one up there. That's one I'm finishing up for myself. That's another OM. This one I believe is going to go to the guy who I built the neck for. Who he sent that neck from California to me.
Right.
That's probably going to go on this guitar. And then this one is available. And that's another thing. I was taking orders for them, and then
somebody just asked in the chat, "Are you taking orders?"
Yeah. So let me flip my phone. So that's how I did it for a while. I would take an order for a guitar. You could pick what wood you want, what inlays you want, and then I would make it. But it's just a very slow process, and I think moving forward, what I'm going to do is build these guitars. And hey, this is what I got. This, if it's for sale, it's for sale. I don't like being under a time crunch when I had the other stuff going on.
Yeah.
So, and I don't like making people wait. So that's, and I think maybe eventually going back to orders. But why I had these guitars here is because I was like, I had the bright idea that I was going to make them in batches. I figured I learned that that's harder than
Yeah, I
what
was
I
wondering
thought it
about
was going to
that.
be.
Well, I figured maybe you were like, why
I
the
say I'll get one tool set up. I can repeat these processes 3-4 times rather than setting the tool up every time and then wait until I get to that point again. But no, like at this point, I got to go back to making them one at a time.
So in the chat, you were asked, basically, what would you suggest as a place to start learning to build? So if somebody was kind of at that point where you were just like, hey, I want to get into this, where would be the first place you would go?
So, I mean, if one of the easiest ways, I guess, to get started is they do have kits. I never used a kit, but it may have saved me probably time and money because mistakes are expensive. As a matter of fact, I can show you a very expensive mistake. But the kit would be a good place to start. StuMac, LMII are two different websites.
Okay, and he said he's made several of the kit guitars.
Okay.
And only
So
one body.
At that point, what helped me was getting some of the bigger tools. So you can start with, bigger stock. You can use, wood that whatever, like I said, like I was showing you the fretboard, you can kind of choose whatever you want to use rather than paying probably 4 times what you could get that wood for from a part supplier. But that's how it worked for me. As soon as I got like a bigger machine that allowed me to kind of take 2 steps back, in regards to sourcing the materials.
Gotcha.
But I was going to show you a mistake. Here, this is the last thing I'll show you from the shop. I shouldn't end on a mistake, but
no, I mean,
see this guitar.
We learn from our mistakes, right? Fails.
We do.
Learning.
We learn from this one. So this, you can see. You know how the back of a guitar has an arch on a radius,
right?
Pretty pronounced radius usually, and the top is usually relatively flat, at least up here. Well, I put the top on the back, and the back on the top. So that was a mistake, and I never made it again.
You could play that Rascal Flatts country song backwards on that guitar, maybe.
So I leave that sit around just as a reminder.
So
anyway, that's the shop.
Yeah, so one of the things that, and I don't know how, one of the questions that's come up, because Ben is you could have a potential sale there. You know what I'm saying? Is price. So, like, what would it cost? I mean, can you give a ballpark figure on? Because I know that's, wood's different.
So, like, if I was gonna sell that OM guitar upstairs, I would probably like $1,700, and that's kind of where the price point is sticky, because at that point you're getting into where you could buy a Martin or a Taylor. Now you're getting into kind of not the highest end of a Martin or a Taylor at that price point, but those materials are the materials you see on the high end Martin and Taylors. If you see what I mean. I don't have the Paul McRae guitar isn't the name of a Martin or Taylor, but it's those materials that you see on the high ends. So that's where, I'm not even really sure about the price point right now, but that's where I have sold them at.
And does that depend too how much inlay work you do and that kind of stuff, or does that not change the price as much?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Is that based on maybe how much inlay work you do, or what type of wood you're using in it, or is that more for the hours?
Yeah, so the inlay is one of the big ones. That's time. That's a lot of time for the inlays if it gets intricate. The wood. Sorry, I shouldn't be out of breath walking up the stairs.
It's the world we're all living in, right?
It's the social distancing from the refrigerator that's been the hardest.
But what I would say is the wood. I don't think it makes sense for what I'm doing to buy wood that's not good, because there's not that much of a difference price wise. So I usually use the best wood I can find, regardless.
I think you said you built that guitar for your son. Does he know it's coming? Because we've had several offers on the chat to buy it.
Oh, he knows it's coming.
Okay, well, maybe the next one, Jack the Rabbit.
Yeah. Said Ben said he would charge $3,500 to $4,000 for that guitar.
Yeah, so that's the thing. You go out and you look at other builders' sites and their prices, and that's where they're at, there and up.
Yep.
But like I said, I consider myself on a 20-year apprenticeship right here.
And Brian,
and when I'm done, I keep walking back to that other computer that echoes. But when I'm done, and then hopefully maybe when I do this for a living, that's where I'll be ready to do.
Brian said you're a brilliant craftsman and a terrible salesman.
Funny thing is that I am a salesman for a living. But anyway, that's what I had.
Someone's asking about Triple O. Like, how many different body styles do you make? You had the, what you say, you had the OM, you had a Dreadnought.
So to this point, I've made Dreadnought style and OM style. And I should have showed you the blueprints I have downstairs. So I kind of, most of it is off of like a standard Martin blueprint.
Right.
So it's not like I've been experimenting with different bracings of my own and things like that. I've done a lot of research and studies on that. And basically one of the things that that stuck with me is that the big guys have done those research, the sound studies and working on different bracing styles. And this is, for the most part, what everyone's sticking with.
Mm-hmm.
So as of yet, I haven't branched out and just experimented with different designs.
Right.
Gotcha.
Not to say I would.
You'd have to have like different jigs and other things too, right? I mean, if you went, you have to make
so
more.
I could use everything I have down there. It's just a matter of making different shaped jigs.
Yeah. Right.
Cool.
Even I don't know.
Ben, here, I'll put Ben's, he's loves your craftsmanship. I think you said earlier, I don't know if I mentioned it, that if you ever need, he's about an hour and a half away. If you ever need an apprentice on the weekend, he's like, I think he's totally into this.
I think he offered to
Right
bring
on.
beer too, if I saw correctly.
Where's he from?
Downingtown, I think he said.
Okay.
So, but yeah, I mean, if you want to learn more, I mean, there's always the Paul McRae Guitars website that I shared, the Facebook page that I shared. There was one person, Jack the Rabbit doesn't have Facebook, so he was kind of couldn't see that, I don't think. But
Yeah, and you can give him my email address. Is pwolfe, PWOLFE 922@yahoo.com.
all right, that's awesome. So if you want to email him, I guess I can type it in the chat since you said it out. PWOLFE
LFE 922
922@gmail.com.
at yahoo.com.
Oh, okay. Don't look at that. I'll put it in again. I'm so used to everything being Gmail in my life. Yahoo. There you go. With922. Okay, so there's Paul's email if you want to reach out and talk to him about that. Paul, we were talking about whether that getting that hour to go by. We're at 58 minutes and 54 seconds right now. So we definitely hit the hour. The hour went by. Thanks so much. I mean, I literally sent Paul a Facebook message this morning. Was like, "Hey man, what do you have a minute to talk?" And then I got him on the phone. I'm like, "Want to do this thing?" So that was awesome of you to give up an hour here tonight to hang out with us. That was fascinating, man. We've talked about coming over and doing something over there for I think about a year.
Right.
So I mean, still like to see it in person someday, but I mean that was awesome. So thanks for
there's lots of things we want to do, right? Because in the chat earlier, someone said, have you gone down to Rock Lidditz and seen Bob Bradshaw? And we're like, well, that's on the proverbial list, right? So at least in some way we checked off the list. We lost Paul.
Here he is. He's back.
There we go. I think you're switching back. There we go.
Yeah, I got to get rid of that phone. It was being loud.
That's all right.
So anyway, thanks for taking the tour with me.
Yeah, man, that was great. So yeah, Bob Bradshaw down there in like the Toe Tailors right there at Rock Lidditz. I mean, that's about what 45-minute drive.
All right.
So I'm sorry I missed that conversation. How'd that come up?
Because we were saying about things we've been wanting to do, and one was to actually have come and done a tour, in person and not virtually. And someone else in the chat had mentioned, had we been down to Tone Tailors or Rock Lidditz and checked out Bob Bradshaw down there, and we're like, that's on the proverbial list that was already tough to get to, and then you put a month-long plus hiatus on that, so we got lots of things queued up. But this
Right,
is a good way.
that's where I got the that green Paul Reed Smith at Tone Tailors, and when I was down there, he was working on Trey's rig from Fish.
Right.
So I was walking through the hallway. Here's Trey's whole rig was laid out that he was working on. Pretty cool.
I
This is
saw that on Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing that Bob Bradshaw is working out of that place. It's great. It's a cool place. I mean, the whole Rock Lidditz concept is really interesting. You have to look it up online. They do complete staging, and I think Claire Brothers, who does PA systems for everybody that goes on tour, they will actually stage entire tours out there, and sometimes the bands are down there running through stuff. Occasionally, a lot of times it's the production side that's being put up. But
yeah, I mean, they have a whole like indoor stadium that they can put all that in, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
It's crazy.
So at some point, maybe we'll do that. We couldn't get one block away from Jason's house. I mean, you have to be patient to get us started.
Awesome. So I think,
Hey, thanks for having me.
yeah, there's so much going on down at Rock Lidditz. Anybody that's so watching, just type in Rock Lidditz and go check out what's going on down there. It's a really cool place. So I think that kind of wraps it up. Again, don't forget tuning in. Maybe the rest of the week. I'll just show that real quick. What we had, share screen. I gotta hit all these buttons to do that. Real quick. So tomorrow we got BB Made on. A lot of the people in the chat I know will know BB Made. Where he sent us a pedal to help out with one series, so we thought we'd have him on, talk to him about what he's doing. Brian Ewald from PRS and whatever. He plays, just killer player. John Cusack and Dave Sestito, all those guys this week. So we're trying to bring some fun people on to pass the time. So hopefully we'll see you later in the week. And I think, other than just one last thank you to Paul, I think that's it for today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so with that, I'm PJ on behalf of The Beard, reminding you, no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear, especially if they're handmade acoustic guitars. Peace out.
All right. See you guys all later. Thanks for stopping in, everybody.